my name is Ulrika Rosén and I'm the Global Travel and Meeting Manager for Tetra Pak Group. We are a technical manufacturing company in the food industry and we are based in Lund, Sweden. This year we are actually celebrating 70 years as a company. We've been a Concur customer since 2015 when we actually implemented Concur Expense in 76 countries, and at the same time we implemented Concur Travel in 18 countries. This year we are continuing the journey on implementing Concur Travel, and by end of Q1 we will be live with Concur Travel in 34 countries. The pain points before coming to SAP Concur was that we did not have a global travel process and not a consistent way of handling business travel nor expense. We had several different tools, both from an expense but also from a travel perspective. We did not have a consolidated supplier base, and we had challenges following up on our policy. And we of course also wanted to simplify for our employees to have one way of doing things independent on if you are based in Sweden or if you are in the US. So when we started the project with implementing Concur Travel, we had more than 33 different travel agencies across the different countries. And one advice we got straight from the beginning was, you need to consolidate. And I must say, the implementation of Concur Travel and Expense actually helped us to drive this consolidation internally, because in the past there was a lot of politics behind and we were not able to move forward as fast as we wanted. But by using the Concur Travel and Concur Expense implementation to drive the travel agency consolidation, it made life so much easier. So before you start working on a project like this, you really need to understand your internal processes when it comes to business travel, anything from finance, approvals, policies, etc. But you also need to understand the outside world. What are the connections with the travel agencies? What are the connections with airlines? How does a ticket booking actually work in the part of the technology? Because business travel is very different from leisure travel in one sense, and also you are spending the company money, but it becomes very personal for our employees. You need to have your internal network established and also, of course, working together with your travel agency. And in order to understand your process and to make this work, you also need to be able to be flexible. You need to be able to adapt to the different markets, because even if you talk about global tool and global process, there is not one size fits all. And it could be depending on the travel market in a specific country. It could be our own Tetra Pak limitations, or actually it could also be Concur limitations in that market. So you really need to know, and you need to be able to also listen to your suppliers, both in this case the travel agencies, it could be airlines, but also to SAP Concur based on experience. And by also working with the same travel agency, it actually meant that you had the same implementation people. They got to know us, and they still know us because we are still using the same implementation teams, and that is key to make implementation a success. It's a good way to, when you implement a tool like this, also to review your policy, work with HR, work with finance, work with supplier management to see what consolidations and what is working behind the scenes as well. Because a lot of times a policy is a mix of policy, procedure, guidelines, recommendations, and that always leaves room for assumption. Since we implemented Concur Travel, we've actually streamlined and gotten rid of a lot of exemptions that we had locally in the past, because in order to get Concur Travel to work and on the different configurations, the less exemptions you have, the better. The pre-trip approval process, which was a big exemption in the company before. Basically anybody could get an exemption from getting a pre-trip approval. Today we have a very limited number of organization that has an exemption for domestic travel only, where they do not need pre-trip approval. But apart from that, everybody are required to do pre-trip approval. We are also forcing the usage of Concur Travel or the travel agency to book airline tickets, hotels, and car rentals. And that is, of course, a big security piece. And we are following that up by the expense reporting to make sure that there are no expenses coming through from other sources. Going live with any new tool, of course, requires learning and training of our employees, and we have utilized the pre-provided material by Concur, but it's been rebranded with the Tetra Pak brand, the touch and feel of our learnings, etc. We've done town halls, and I do a Concur travel training on how to utilize the tool, what the policy is like. We have even done them in other languages than English, even though it's the company language. But of course, you know, in certain markets, we also need to do them in local language, and it's really worked well. We have made a very nice section on our intranet where we have all material related to travel. And there we have a section which is called expense, because actually it's connected to the Concur expense piece as well, where we have a big library on videos with me. We have the Concur videos, we have our finance team doing videos, we have QRGs. So it's like a big library, and we just updated it today and launched a new movie which was approved today about how to find these learnings, because with 25,000 employees, and basically anybody could be a traveler, it is hard for everybody to know where to find the material. But we have it all in one place now. So it's independent on if it's IT, HR, or finance. It's anything that's related to travel and booking and expense, it's all in one page. One big recommendation for any company that are planning to implement Concur Travel is to have a very small team. You might expand it when needed, but normally it goes rather quickly. You need to know what travel is all about, but you also need to understand that the process within the company, from finance, from IT support, and those perspectives. But I must say, I had design authority, and that helped us tremendously, that we did not have to go to each individual market and ask for approval when implementing and building the configurations for each different country. So that's a very warm recommendation. Get at least design authority to one or a few people in the team, because otherwise you will lose a lot of time. As a conclusion, I would say what we have heard in our company is the benefits of having the same expense and travel platform available. Doesn't matter where I am in the Tetra Pak world. And I think that's one of the key factors for us to have the Concur Travel and Concur Expense on the same platform and continuing to implement Concur Travel. If it's not been implemented, there are countries who really want this. They've heard about it from our colleagues, and that is really cool and it's working well, and it makes life so much easier. And as being part of one of our key areas in Tetra Pak to become productive, we are really wanting to launch it in as many areas as possible.